Oh, whoops. Wrong thing. Hello, welcome back to Discussing Tabletop. Yes, we had a week off, and we have a return of a worm.
How long has it been? Like 4 weeks? 5?
About like a month or so.
Yeah, it's like about a month. You know, it's been a crazy month, and we understand that, and it's been kind of crazy for us because we missed a couple episodes anyway ourselves. So, but we're all back here. We're all together. We're all ready to party. So, thank you once again for Worm and Joe for joining me as we're going to be talking for this week, July 7th, 2018. We're going to be talking about the tabletop releases of this week. And I'm going to go over their docket quickly then. So, this week I'm going to talk a little bit about Magic the Gathering, Core Set 2019, and the weird kind of updates they've been throwing out associated with that. Then it was Star Wars. They got 2 books that came out, Knights of Fate and Fate Force. Roll20 has their Charactermancer. Pathfinder 2.0 has introduced us to magic items and items. Talk a little bit about Shatter6 the RPG. I'm a word on it. That's what that show up on the search. The 1889, isn't it? Like
it's Space 1889.
Space 1889 on the Trail of Gods. And then Munchkin has an intro set. Also, they have some kind of weird mini expansion on Kickstarter. Let's complain about it. Shafurium, I'm probably butchering that. An RPG Fantasy Flight has come out. And if we have a little time, we'll throw Conspiracy Theory by Steve Jackson Games. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get into our normal segments. All right. I want to talk.
It's probably Capharnaum.
Yeah, Capharnaum sounds about right. So why don't we start with a little bit about Magic. So the thing about this is Core Set 2019, cool. Core Set's coming back. It looks neat. I haven't gone over everything of it, but from what I've seen, it's a kind of classic Core Set, except they're seemingly trying to tell a story, which I guess is better than a lot of the Core Sets they've done before. They have tried to tell stories with Core Sets poorly, and it seems like they're using that they went to Dominaria just recently, back to that plane, as an excuse of, hey, our Core Sets are related to this play, mostly.
So, one of the pictures of one of these cards is hilarious. Harrowmancer's cage. The guy's just wide-eyed with his mouth open. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. The Minotaur.
Yep.
It's
But I will say, the artwork, it seems with every set, is getting even better.
No.
Yep.
And they're definitely getting interesting directions, because they did something with this Core Set which I didn't even think they would ever do, and they took the Elder Dragons of the 3rd Magic expansion ever, Legends. They had Elder Dragons in there that didn't have any story about them. Granted, one of them has become the main antagonist of the entire sort of Magic the Gathering storyline currently, Nicol Bolas, but origins back to this day, nothing. They're making them characters here, younger versions of them, which is kind of this weird twist. I'm not quite sure why they've done it, but it's interesting. And they've done some kind of other things, they threw out a whole list of rules changes and changes Oracle, which Oracle being their the Gatherer, their online database of cards, where they have all the rules updates on the text, so you can see the actual card, and then you can see how the card should be. And they're doing a whole heaping load of changes there too. So it's they're overhauling stuff along with it, which is not bad, but it's also you guys haven't done this in forever in association with a Core Set, let alone associated with anything. Oh, wow. I feel like I want to say that they're learning stuff, but I think when we had Orcish Librarian on before, and he was talking about how these sets take a long time to do, it's hard to tell if they've actually ever learned anything, because they had been working on them for how long to develop it. But I'm liking what direction it's going a little bit, just because of some of the interesting things. And I'm curious as to what this... I guess it's not going to mean anything major for the games, like their little rules changes and changes of the language overall. It's all made to make it easier, so I'm glad. Like a good example for like the Oracle changes is they were talking about the creatures that could become another creature, but they're sort of their own creature still, which is kind of confusing. And they clarified that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, no, it's like the good example would be this creature comes into battle as a copy of another creature in play, except it's still a 7/7. They remove the word still, so except it's a 7/7. So that actually makes a little more sense, because then you're not like, it's still a 7/7?
Okay, so it copies all the other creatures' abilities, but stays
Because
its power and
when you're
toughness.
saying still a 7/7,
Yeah.
it's like, if it would be
Is
a
that
7...
on top of it?
No,
Is that on top of it?
It would sound like if it was a 7/7, it would stay that? Or something, you know? It's like, it's weird language.
Yeah.
And I guess changes like that are good, but it's really dumb because, like, you and I, as soon as I said that, you comprehended it the exact same way that I comprehended when I first read it, which was, it's a 7/7 because the card itself says 7/7 on it.
Yeah. But a newer player might not get that right away.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. See, changing wording, though, can be a little bit problematic for some people, because I remember back in the day with Yu-Gi-Oh! When they changed magic cards to spell cards. And some of the cards said, this affects magic cards, and people would argue, well, no, this is technically a different card. This is a spell card. And I remember those kind of discrepancies started to pop up with people. And it's not even like they were trying to, like, get out of something. They just literally thought, well, no, these are different cards, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so...
There's been so many changes like that, though, with Magic.
Oh, yeah, and that's something that I think every good card game evolves into over the years. They're going to have changes. It's just that getting the community to understand the changes is the most difficult part. Because, again... well, go ahead.
Because I'm trying to think, there used to be, Injunction?
No.
Or Interrupt.
Interrupts. Well, they got rid of those very quickly, that there was interrupts and instances, and they're just like, no, screw it. It's all instances.
Right, but I'm thinking that's like one of the first ones that happened in Magic.
Yes.
It was,
that if you were playing in those very early sets, you might encounter problems like that. And I understand, like, the rules changes, they're like little simple changes here and there, and then the Oracle changes, you're not gonna maybe encounter that unless you're specifically not at a place where you can find a judge and you really just want to check some ruling on something, because then you go to like the Gatherer where the Oracle updates are listed and be able to learn, oh hey, this is how it's supposed to be read now. So it's like the most sideways update to something you can find, you know? Because
actually, fun fact, the reason from what I heard, the reason Yu-Gi-Oh! Changed from magic cards to spell cards was because Magic the Gathering sued them.
Yeah, I can get that.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of weird stuff in those earlier days.
It's like, that's not a magic card. These are magic cards.
Now, my big question is at the time that occurred, would it have still been Wizards by themselves, or would they have been eaten up by Hasbro by then?
I have no idea. That was a long time ago.
I know, and that's the thing. That happened a long time ago, too. So it's sort of really hard to say when that occurred.
It's so weird to think. I know it in the back of my head, but I always forget it. That Hasbro does own them.
Yeah, they're a subsidiary of Hasbro. Yeah. It's one of those little weird things that you're like, because you always think Wizards of the Coast, they're the people that are doing Magic and D&D and doing really great, and then it's like, oh wait, it's technically Hasbro.
Yes, because
I like though that they basically leave them on their own to do their own thing.
No, oh my god, yes.
They not?
They
Agreed.
pretty much do. I think. I think
Yeah.
there's a little things here and there that, of course,
Always.
But they pretty much have left them on their own devices, which has really been great, because we can see it blooming in the company, and both their flagship products do great. 5th edition D&D is the big role-playing game right now. Magic the Gathering still remains and actually has had a pretty good resurgence in the last, probably 5 years of being the top CCG.
Yeah, and they don't step in and try to go, oh, you have to be more family friendly or something with D&D or something like that. They let them do what they do.
I feel that's more like Marvel and Disney, and
But when you think Hasbro board games though,
yeah,
they're normally very family friendly.
I guess so. Yeah, I assume.
Well,
again,
Well, isn't it like Hasbro a family company, or is that something else?
Like it could be.
It could be. I'm not sure.
Actually, now I need to look this up. But no, it's actually, it kind of reminds me of when like Microsoft bought out Minecraft. It worried me a lot because Microsoft tends to like to get their hands in things, but they really didn't, except in one case, which I actually very much prefer. They actually basically forced Minecraft to fix a bunch of stuff that they just were that way.
Well, sometimes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Because that's it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, you guys need to actually start programming this properly.
Well, I think sometimes when a company takes over something like that and it's already so popular, they're willing to just let the money come in and let them do what they need to do so.
And their hand might be more like, hey, you know what? We've got some experience. This is good. And I also do think it depends on the company. I feel like, for all its problems, Microsoft usually does pretty good for things. Hasbro does pretty good for things, There are other companies that, if they were in charge of it, Comcast, I would not trust them. Or, also, Verizon. I would trust neither of them. Neither of them. Granted, they're telecommunications, both of them. But, again, if they were in a certain similar circumstance, I would not trust them not to be very heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But again, maybe that's telecommunications, and that's a different type of company anyway. I guess.
Well, like I said, I think it also depends on how popular the product already is.
That's true.
If you have something like Minecraft, and you go in and start screwing with it, you might end up now not making money on it.
Yeah.
Where if it's already heavily popular like that, you let the team do what they're doing, but then you rake in the profits and you're happy.
Yep.
As long as they continue to do well, you're probably not going to meddle much. Now, if all of a sudden something happened and sales went down the tubes, then they might start going, okay, we're sticking our hands in this now.
Yep. Yeah. So it's definitely been but getting back to the original discussion at hand, because that's it's good to think about how this is evolving in relation to Magic and D&D. But Core 2019, it will be coming out.
Hasbro's tagline. Now I can't think of whose tagline it is. Oh well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I can remember these things. I think the pre-release for Core 2019 is this weekend. I'm very forgetful.
Sure. I can check the Magic site if you want.
Please do. I was pretty sure it was, but again, I know it's coming up. So that's kind of one of those things that could be next week, and I'm just getting my weeks mixed up. Because this is the same problem as to why I'm pretty much missed Tabletop Day this week, because I got weeks mixed up.
Oh, was this week?
No, remember Tabletop Day earlier the month? Or earlier this year?
Oh, earlier this year, yeah. That's right.
How I was oh, we didn't really do anything because I missed it in my brain.
Yeah, I was
I knew about it
a couple. It was earlier this year.
Yeah, I knew about it a couple weeks ahead of time, and then it left my brain, and it was
yes, pre-release starts today.
Cool. So yeah, so if you guys are interested in checking out yourself, I would recommend it. Magic's at a pretty good spot right now. I've been really pleased because with Dominaria and where they're going with that, and this looks to be continuing their good trends. Will they keep it up?
I still need to play Magic for the first time ever.
You know,
We can play online sometime. I have a good program for it.
Yes. We'll have to drag you into it at some point in time.
I know. Oh gosh.
Yeah, the pre-release is today and tomorrow, and then the actual release is the 13th.
Cool. All right. So that's Magic, kind of what I want to handle for it this week. I want to talk a little bit.
If we do it, we're gonna have to stream it. You just know it.
Yeah, that's true. So I want to talk a little bit about Fantasy Flight's latest Star Wars books. Good English, thank you.
English? English? You don't speak English.
I don't.
Oh yeah, that was another thing that was confusing.
English?
No, the Knights of Fate. Sorry.
Yeah.
Was there. Way of the Force, though, when I looked it up, was like a booster pack for like their Star Wars CCG.
It might be the CCG, and I just got that one confused with another one as I was looking it up. I might have accidentally just do the Way of the Force one right now. I could have very easily.
Well, Knights of Fate is the book. Way of the Force was the CCG.
Yeah, I might have gotten that mixed up with the book when I was like looking at something else too, and grabbing it, because they do a lot of like weird Star Wars products too.
Yep.
So like, yeah. Thanks. So we'll do Knights of Fate. We'll do Knights of Fate. We'll just work on that one because that's a fine one to work on.
Yeah, the other one, the Way of the Force, is a booster pack for the card game.
So I probably was reading on something else and I got the ones mixed up, but we'll do that. It might have been Knights of Fate that I was also looking at somewhere else, and I was like, and I saw they were also probably talking about that, and I got confused.
Yeah, I mean, the Way of the Force is pretty recent. So, like the booster pack, but
yeah, that's the thing. It's like it was the latest Fantasy Flight products, and I was like, ooh, this one. Which one are we talking about? That seems like the one we're going to talk about. All right. Anyway, so Knights of Fate. So if I can get, is that showing up on stream? Oh, excellent. So it is the latest book of Force and Destiny, and I kind of have been liking where they've been going with their books a little bit, and that's kind of when I wanted to talk about it a little bit more, because I know it's, as someone that more watches Star Wars on Twitch, on other people's channels and stuff, rather than plays it myself, I do like it a lot and feel like it would be really cool to try out, but it's sort of like one of those things that's like, I guess it's like Call of Cthulhu or GURPS. Really cool to check out. I just haven't. So, this latest one is all about, I feel like it's trying to take the in between the first three movies and then the original trilogy. So the prequel trilogy, original trilogy, taking that point in time, the fall of the Jedi Order kind of thing, taking on roles of people that would be kind of out in that area without being in that area, kind of. It seems like it from reading up on it, which is kind of neat.
Makes me think, like, how has Disney affected things like Fantasy Flight's Star Wars books?
Ooh, I don't know, because the question is, when did they come out with their first three? Force and Destiny, and I can't remember the other two. Because Force and Destiny is the Jedi one, and then there's the Outer Rim one, which is more smugglerly, which is more Han Solo-y, and then there's the Rebellion one. Because those three are the core, like, sort of Star Wars games. Because
I would say most of them have come out since the start of the new trilogy that Disney started.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So wasn't there a Star Wars CCG before that though?
I'm sure.
CCG or RPG?
RPG, sorry.
Yeah, there's been many. There was one back that we touched on the 30th anniversary of that was back in the 80s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's, Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion are the other two. Mm-hmm. And they're all the same system, but there's major differences between them because of how they're played. I mean, one of them is Force and Destiny. you're being like Force sensitive / Jedi characters. Edge of the Empire, you're being like Galactic Rim smuggler types. Age of Rebellion, you're in the Rebellion, and you're kind of like galactic heroes. So, I feel like, yes, they're all... It's like... That's the weird thing about it, is you might need like all 3 books to get your full experience in the world, but you could probably play with each of them individually, which is...
Yeah, you could, but or you could combine them to like make a team that, you know, is diverse too.
Well, it's like if we would go the original like World of Darkness to Trifecta, Vampire, Werewolf, Mage. That's their core, and you can play all 3 of them together. It's basically the same system, and it's the exact same kind of thing. Basically the same system, just different settings. And I think that's actually a very interesting take that they've done for Star Wars. It's one of the reasons why it's interested me.
Yeah, because it could just be like a bunch of regular dudes who are doing stuff and ignore all the Force things entirely.
Yeah, you could be the kind of like, we're smugglers or we're bounty hunters or something, you know, at the edge of the Empire. We're not even dealing with, you know, the Empire or the Rebellion or anything that's going on in the background. We're just doing our own crap out here in the corner.
Screw those guys.
Okay,
We're just trying to survive here.
I did not realize Disney bought Star Wars all the way back in 2012. Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I guess they just haven't done anything with it for a long time.
I think it took them a while to develop their first movie, and
that's the thing. Like, the
their
first movie was what, 25th? No, probably later, like 2016.
They've put out 1 a year, including this year, and there are 4 movies in.
So yeah, like 2014.
And
so that's only 2 years. If you think about it, that's only 2 years after they bought it, and a film can take up to like a year or so to film. So it took about a year to write something and then a year to film it.
Well, probably half a year of writing, year of filming, half a year of editing.
I think. Well, no, because like Force Awakens, like the first one, and the one that was based off of the
Rogue One?
Rogue One, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, those 2 came out in the same year, though, didn't they?
Nope, 1 year after the other.
Wow.
Yep.
I thought 2 of them did come in 1 year. Though.
Yeah,
no, they haven't yet, actually. The reason you're feeling like that is because this one that just came out, Solo, is the first one that hasn't come out in December.
Hmm.
And because the thing is, like, I saw someone talking about this. The reason that they did that is they're basically testing the waters to see if they could do 2 movies a year.
That makes sense.
Force Awakens came out in 2015.
Okay, 2015, 16, 17, 18. Yep, that's right.
Last Jedi was 17.
Rogue One was 16, and this one came out mid-year. But yeah, so Disney has had the property for quite a while, and I think Fantasy Flight's not that long for doing their...
No, they really aren't. That's why I was like, well, this one was 2016, wasn't it? And like I looked at their oldest one, which was like 2016, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, they bought it in 2012. It's been even since Force Awakens, so
yeah.
Like, it's just I just you know, to be fair, I didn't start getting into role playing games until at college, which was after 2012. So it just, I guess they just kind of, I start to sometimes think old RPGs to me are not as old as.
No, and the thing is, like, it's very hard to imagine some of the old RPGs, how really old they are. Like, I can sort of get a hold of, like, when 2nd edition was in my mind, because when I was very, very young, I was introduced to 2nd edition D&D. But, like, 1st edition, that's, like, early 70s.
We should totally do, like, one stream, just, like, a one-shot of a original D&D.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
Just party wipe in the first like 10 minutes.
Oh my God,
I rolled the stats to get it to be an elf.
I know. I'm superior to all of you.
I can cast spells and attack. Up yours.
Up yours, guy who qualified to be wizard, who can cast one spell and then be useless.
Per adventure.
I think there was, like, the way they worded it depended on the DM. You could have it once per adventure or once per session.
Either or, it's still really crappy to be a wizard.
Oh my God, it's still terrible. The once per like adventure is the worst. So, yeah.
Once per session, if you have more than one battle, you're screwed.
And then in 5e, they allow wizards to regain a spell slot or two on short rests.
Yeah, I know. They're like, look, wizard, we've screwed you over the years. We're just gonna give you a little something. Here, you just look the other way. You know, forget all about the horrible things in the back room that we did to you.
Yeah. And I think that's why I actually, to a degree, kind of like 4th edition D&D, because even though because 5th edition came out in 2014, I started playing in 2012. 4th edition was, at the time...
And again, 4th edition has had some lasting effects, which are very, very good.
Yeah. Agreed. I think it was a good mid-step for 5th edition, and yes. I can see that.
As I've said, I think it was much better as a board game. Because
which is why most of the D&D board games look very similar to 4th edition rules.
Yes. Well, as I said when I first saw 4th edition when it came out, I'm like, this is a MMO on pen and paper.
4th edition is one of those systems that I think it's going to be memorable. It's like there's going to be some like there's problems with it. That's definite. But I did enjoy playing it for what it was, and I have to say that.
Yeah, I didn't like it so much, and the thing is, like my first D&D experience was 2.5, or no, just second. Was there a 2.5?
Yes, there was. There was a second edition of AD&D. That's what you're thinking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which they updated the AD&D rules just a little bit. They're only slightly different.
And I still hate THAC0. But my favorite system up until 5th, because 5th is definitely a great system, it has to be 3.5, but that's also the one I spent the most time in.
Well, that's the thing is, when you talk about 2nd edition, you just started like a couple of months before 3rd edition came out, because I was there and joined you guys when 3rd edition came out for that game.
It's basically how I feel about 5th edition, where it's all like, I was playing 3.5 with people, I looked into like D&D some more, I actually bought a couple of the 4E books, because it was the most recent edition, and then everyone's like, no, we don't play 4E. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, one of our friends got all the PDFs of 4E, like a whole bunch of the PDFs of 4E. Like
I have a lot of them.
But the thing is, then he had like he made like, because he had the PDFs and he had like a printing thing, he could put out like cheap ass binded versions of them so that we could actually like not have to have the computers open, because remember, this is like how many years ago where it's not as easy to have like your phone, there was not like the phones, computers, we can reference everything, so it's sort of like it just didn't work to have those PDFs in front of you. Oh, it was awful but wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh man, 4th edition, good times. Anyway, because we've digressed once more.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
What are you talking about? We never digress.
I know. So Star Wars, just to get back to this one at hand a little bit, I'm liking where they're going with it. It's cool. And they seem to, by kind of pointing out that, like, I think this is what you need kind of a little bit, because this book feels more like you're sort of not quite a Jedi, but you can kind of be in that direction, you know, for being like a Force user, which I think is, you know, interesting.
It's kind of like that one guy from Rogue One, that one monk guy.
Yeah.
Where you're not really a Jedi, but you kind of are.
Well, that's the thing, is that's something that's supposed to exist, but they don't hint on very well, is the Force-sensitive people.
Yeah.
You know, is that maybe, like, there's that spark you could train to be a Jedi, but, or maybe you could get a little like sort of Force powers, but you're not like a full-blown, I've got the discipline, I could learn all this crap kind of thing.
Well, it also might be that you just never were trained, but you have
like connection.
That sense of, you have that connection. It's just you never matured it.
Yep. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, you know, that that the book is focusing on after the Jedi Order fell, and still having a lot of those like Force people out there. Which I guess you could still use that information for other periods, because, you know, pretty much after that entire period of time, after the prequels, Force people are kind of just outliers anyway. So, All right.
True.
Why don't we move on, because we still have a couple more topics to handle. And I want to talk a little about Roll20 Charactermancer. So, Joe, you were looking up stuff on it. Why don't you lead us on this one, the Charactermancer?
It looks pretty good. The one hindrance, I guess you could say, would be that you do have to buy the player's handbook through Roll20 to be able to actually use it. But as I'm also been looking up, right now they have a special launch price of $19.99 for the book that also comes with the character asset pack, which gives you exclusive artwork and stuff to be able to use for your character icons and such.
Cool.
You can customize using official art from the player's handbook. Over 100 assets included, from tokens to matching art handouts where available. The actual use of the Charactermancer, very simple, it looks like. It reminds me a lot of the D&D Beyond's character builder.
Okay.
Which is pretty intuitive.
Although knowing Roll20, it could probably be edited to be a little bit better.
Yes. It looks
not
like
edited. I mean, like you could probably it probably can go a little bit deeper if you work on it. You know.
Yeah, you could add macros and macros, not macros.
Sure.
I can speak today.
No, we'll go along with it. I'm just gonna pretend you totally said it right.
Okay. How long has this been a thing? If you buy the player's handbook, it says some.
If you there's sharing. If you're the DM, the person running the game, you can compendium share wiki, which means anyone else in that game that you're running has access to the books you have.
Okay. Yeah. No. More what I'm wondering is if you buy the books, it will now add information to the compendium.
Oh.
It said I think it's like if you want more, it's like no, that's still talking about the character. I thought because the whole compendium sharing thing, share your purchase compendiums with other players. Yeah, because you can purchase more compendium, which I assume is basically buying the books.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, real quick, is you have for the Charactermancer, you also have to use the Roll20 5th edition OGL sheet.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, having one particular that you're doing is not a problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah,
I like my sheet because it's just the sheet I use, the shape sheet, just because it's super customizable, and I like to spend way too much time making things perfect. And as Unfunny One has told me, basically the worst part about it, or used to be the worst part about it, is just that it was super slow to load everything. And honestly, I think it still can be, but at the same time, it just means I'm sitting there doing stuff for longer. It doesn't affect the players nearly as much as it does me.
Okay, yeah. So when you buy the player's handbook, it adds it does add to your the Roll20 web compendium.
This means I probably should do it anyway, because it just would be so handy just to drag things from the compendium. Saves so much time.
Well, and like I said, right now it's normally $29.99. This is a one-time special launch event. Oh, through the 5th. Never mind.
Oh crap.
Womp 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 womp.
Damn.
It's fine. I don't have disposable income right now anyway.
What little I had, which wasn't a lot, went to some things from Steam sale.
Steam sale.
Yeah.
Because I was going to talk to you off stream and say, hey Matt, I'll chip in half the price if we want to do this.
Maybe.
Which would have been $10 each, but now it would be $15 each.
To be fair, the Steam sale ended on the 5th. They picked a very poor time to
Yeah, I mean, it was the exact same time. They probably just were like, they're not thinking of Steam.
Yeah, they wouldn't, but at the same time, the people who play Steam games are a lot of the time, the people who do Roll20 stuff.
The thing that stinks that it's over now is you don't get the character asset pack with buying the compendium then, because it was a bundle for 20.
Meh. I'll just make my own art.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying it's like, oh, and it's not for sale on its own.
Womp womp.
The asset
again.
pack.
I'll just make my own art.
Again, womp womp again.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but true.
I wish I would have looked into this more last week.
Yeah, things like that happen, unfortunately.
Yep.
So.
But this looks like it could be good. The fact that you have to purchase that's really a turnoff for a lot of people, I think. 'Cause it's like, oh, here's this useful tool, but you have to pay money for it.
Well, I think the only thing the only saving grace with that is that the DM is the only one that has to buy it.
But the fact that the DM has to is also kind of a problem, because that means that if you want to DM a game, you can't just, use your friend's stuff.
Yeah.
True.
Technically, I did that kind of thing with a friend once, where it's like, I technically co-DM'd the game, like I set it up and like made him like a co-DM or whatever, but it's still kind of like, ignore the man behind the curtain,
Yeah. But I mean, the only good thing with that is, if you have a group that you game with a lot on there, you can just be like, hey guys, can everyone shoot $5 and we'll buy this?
Yeah.
So it makes the price a little easier to swallow.
Yeah. To be fair though, there's also the thing where it's like, yeah, to be fair, it's not like it's that hard just to make your character though. On a normal sheet.
Not.
So it's really for people who. This almost seems like what they really should be advertising it as isn't so much here's an easy way to make your character, but you have to buy the player's handbook. What they should be doing is, if you buy the player's handbook, you now have this to make it easier to build your character.
Yes.
I feel like that is where
much
they
better.
really should have. It just doesn't feel quite as underhanded, I guess. Where it's like, it's just like, yeah, here's this big thing we're advertising, and we're showing you all how to do that. This whole thing is happening. But, you know what I want more than anything, though? A Roll20 desktop app. Because I hate how everything has to take forever because it's loaded over the internet.
That would be wonderful. Or, I would love to have it on my phone sometime, just because there's those little times where you have to be like, I would like to check something. Or do an update for a player or something, and I'm not at home.
Yeah. Technically, you can do that if you have an iPad or a pad. They just don't do it on small devices.
Yeah, you have to have a tablet.
You have to have a tablet. So it's kind of like there is that functionality, but they're like, I kind of actually am okay with this, because they're like, okay, we want to make this functional, and it can't be functional on a tiny phone. Now, maybe with the new sized phones, they should start looking into it. The ones that are basically like mini iPads.
Well, I think it actually states in the app that it has to be a certain screen size. Not necessarily it has to be a tablet. It has to be a certain screen size
that makes
to
sense.
work.
I mean,
yeah.
I kind of feel like there could be still something I could do, because I can't do anything Roll20 on the phone.
Maybe a Roll20 Lite app for the phone that you could edit characters or something like that.
Yeah, look at stats or edit character sheets or something, that would be good. I agree with that. But I'm just saying, it makes sense for what they wanted to do with the tablet or with the app.
Yeah.
But they really should make a light app just to kind of help things out. Even if it's just you can connect to your account and roll on it. Just basically have the roll sheet and just type in roll, so you can be focusing on other things. Something like that could also be.
Yeah. No, there's things to. This maybe not it's not a bad direction for Roll20, but it's they're not doing it in the right way. And I think the thing is, I feel like they're not, for whatever reason, like realizing their position kind of in that way. I mean, I think they're beginning to, but
they kind of are. They're treating themselves too much like a small indie company, which they started as.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. And the fact is, they are the go-to for online role-playing right now. There's a couple other groups, but the first one you think of is Roll20.
There might as well not be. I've tried. I actually bought. I bought. Fantasy Grounds. Yeah, Fantasy Grounds. It's good, but not. Mm-hmm. They're way too. So basically, they're way too like restrictive. Basically, you have to buy their sheets to like play games. You have to, it just is. It's so much like. It's not even like money grubbing so much as it's just like, for what I spent on this, the functionality could be way better. Mm-hmm. Like their map functionality is basically like, here's a picture, you can do like screen stuff, you can do a grid, and that's about it. Like you can do Fog of War, you can like basically the basic version of Roll20 where you can click and drag boxes over. You can do a grid to put tokens on, and that's it.
Yep, so they really have to, I think, get themselves together a little bit more, but we'll hope so. They're fortunately they're not doing anything too stupid, No,
Roll20's they're not doing things stupid. They're just not advancing in way. They're like advancing in ways that are like, okay, but have you fixed your game? Have you fixed your website yet? Have you fixed it? Because that's what we want. We don't want all this extra features. We want you to fix it.
Yep. Roll20 Charactermancer. It's out now. If you want to buy the book and are planning to buy the book, you can use the Charactermancer. We're going to advertise it properly for them. You're welcome, Roll20. Alright. I want to talk a little bit more about Pathfinder 2.0 because I've been really excited about things. Let's just hit briefly on magic items and traps, the way that they've been doing them. So if you're someone out there that wants to check it out, go to the community, to the Paizo blog, and you can find it under the Paizo's blog. So first thing that I found was very interesting, which is a little different for magic items than even 5th edition does, is they were showing off that there is like a level effect to it. They gave the example of disrupting, which does extra damage versus undead. There's like a level 5 standard version which has a price, and a level 15 version which is more potent. And I think that's kind of actually a really cool thing. And they also say like there's like fortitude saves associated with them, and there's success, critical success, failure, and critical failure, which is another detail about it, that there's like, not only can you succeed and fail, you can have critical ones to things like the saves, which have greater effects. Which I'm not sure how that works yet, because I might have missed that blog about the exact way that their saves are working with that. I don't know if that means it's like a natural 1, natural 20, or if it's a margin of success at failure. I know there have been things that have done margins of failures in the past, like, I fail by 5 or more, this happens instead. It's much more of a failure. Then, of course, you got things like Vorpal, which are just like, they're what they are.
Okay. You're talking about magic items. I'll get, because I just was looking at the...
I'll finish with the magic items, and you can kind of hit onto the traps, what you're thinking about them. Maybe kind of introduce what they're saying there. I'm thinking it's a very interesting direction for magic items, more that there's like a level connection to them, like a potency. Like, that's kind of interesting. That like that things are limited a little bit in a way, but are also reflected more on your character also becoming more legendary. So does the things you use have more legendary, or can become more legendary, kind of things like that. I think that's I think what they're trying to do, which is one of those problems with Pathfinder in general, was magic item balance. Something that you don't need in 5th edition necessarily, they're still cool, is a magic item. It's cool to have a magic item. You don't need it. Pathfinder, you intrinsically need to have the amount of gear equivalent to your level to be the CR you're supposed to be and fight the CR you're supposed to. It is a major problem that's left over from 3.5. You need magic items. If you don't, you're screwed. And balancing out that a little bit more, but maybe you need them, but they feel like more natural, is kind of neat. Okay, I've got a drink. I'm not longer choking.
No dying.
I know. They also have, like, for a good example, they have 6 varieties of potions of healing. You got your, like, minor one, which is a D8, to a maximum one, which is like 98 plus 30 hit points that heals you, which is a pretty epic potion.
Do they have any other rules for the Pathfinder playtest, or do you have to buy the playtest rulebook to get it?
It's going to be free in August, and they're just basically putting out these portions of it right now.
Okay. Because I just was like, I do want to take a look at it, but it's, I'm not buying the book.
Yeah, no. I think we talked about that while you were off on your break, kind of. That they're planning on releasing the beta playtest in like August to the public, so you can check it out for free then.
Just kind of weird that they did that the way they did, because normally people release the like Prius stuff, the most like basic stuff, for free, and then make you pay for the older stuff. But they're almost doing the opposite, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you go here, it's their playtest site for it. And at the bottom, they have a link to all the latest blogs.
Oh yeah, which is all the stuff.
So it's it's the easiest way to find the information on what's coming out.
Then you can basically check all, like, because they're basically sharing chunks of it, which is actually kind of interesting that they're basically sharing, like, here's a little bit of this about what we're doing. This is a little bit of this, and I feel like, I'll make my big comment here as. My feelings have been evolving after Worm. You were looking at the traps then, right?
Yeah, I was looking at those a little bit more because the magic items I actually didn't find the article on it.
It's a little older, so it took a little bit more, because that was for last week and stuff, and we missed.
This one was posted yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things I found kind of cool about it is they kind of talk about, so they don't necessarily call them traps, they call them hazards, because there are a variety. There's the traps, there's like physical traps, magical traps, and something else which I found, which intrigued me, called haunts, which are kind of more like, which are very, like, they're kind of like magical traps, except religion-based instead of arcane-based, in my mind.
Oh no, haunts are something that they introduced in the normal Pathfinder, but I feel like had some flaws. So I'm hoping that they've fixed a lot of those flaws to them here in 2.0, in their second edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, haunts were kind of like.
I felt like they were like
they were like
undead traps. They were like ghosts and stuff without having to fight a ghost.
Yeah.
Haunts are pretty cool.
Yeah, and so
they
it's
were a puzzle.
I didn't really remember them from Pathfinder because
they introduced them not in the core. They introduced them.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I've read through a bunch of Pathfinder rules. I just don't remember them. They probably weren't significant enough.
Probably not at the time. Like, the only adventure that I've seen for Pathfinder, which haunts are really significant, was the Carrion Crown Adventure Path, because it's all about undead. Mm-hmm. So they threw crap ton of haunts in there.
It's kind of interesting because it's like the object, the hunt takes control of a creature, forces it to attack itself and it behaves like the Phantasma Killer, except that instead of mental damage, the damage is based on the weapon the creature has drawn. And it's just kind of like, so basically it's just, when you get near this object, it's a 10-foot radius, and when you get near it, you just stab yourself.
Stop stabbing yourself.
And it's like you need a religion check to exorcise it, or you can in theory talk to the spirit inside of the object, like the angry spirit inside of it, and just talk it down with like a even higher diplomacy check. It's just like, that's kind of funny.
No.
Hey, stop forcing me to stab myself.
Please. How did I offend thee?
Oh, great totem! Please don't please no longer have us stab ourselves. We are tired of stabbing ourselves. It is unpleasant. I would like to remove this sword from my shoulder.
To disable it is a religion DC 27.
Yeah, well, this is a high level. This is clearly a high level.
Yeah,
trap,
yeah. Or diplomacy DC 29.
Well, I think it's those numbers sound like a lot more, but I think they have a lot more variety in numbers than, let's say, like D&D.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like 5e, it's like, what?
But
you have a plus 10. Oh my gosh, how did you get that?
Because look at the Armageddon orb.
3.5, it's like
the Armageddon orb has a thievery DC of 51,
which is legendary
because it's hazard level 23, hazard 23.
Yeah.
The Bloodthirster's are only hazard 10, which is
but
still
even
really
the
difficult.
disable check is still considered a master religion check or an expert diplomacy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you like stab yourself once. Actually, I don't know what Phantasma Killer does.
They might have changed it also for their Pathfinder.
And that's a DC 25 check.
Yeah, but even so, I don't like. However long that lasts, it's like you just pull the person away or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Phantasma Killer lasts. That's the thing. It's more like, how long does that last? That actually says a lot about this trap. But other than that, it seems like, well, it's only a 10-foot radius, so once you know something happens, you just stay away from it. So it's like...
Yeah.
Unless it's an area that you have to get by.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a small hallway or something.
Then they're just dicking with you, which, I mean, I've done in games, but that's just...
Then you have your, like, ranger... Then you start getting in D&D creativity. Ranger, shoot the thing with an arrow, and let's, like, drag it to a hallway, like, with an arrow on a rope, and just drag it down the hallway with keeping it 10 feet away until we get to a big enough room where we could pull it into a corner and then pass by. That's where you go with D&D.
Wait, the Armageddon trap is a magical trap that destroys everything in a 100-mile radius. It rains fire from the sky, doing 10d6 fire damage. It's not enough to completely burn away a forest or mountain, but typically kills every creature in the area.
Yeah, any creature reduced to 0 hit points in this way instantly dies.
Yeah! Wow! Pleasant. Oh my god!
DC 51 trap to disable.
They're just...
Well,
it says this one was pure over-the-top fun to write.
It's just made to be like, hey, high-level PCs, you know what you want? Up yours! Armageddon rains down on you.
Yeah, I like that. This effect's not even remotely a threat to high-level PCs, but if they care about NPCs in the region, the chances are they're not going to want to set this thing up. Yeah. It's just kind of like, yeah, I mean...
Oh, you throw it at an enemy and run away.
This would be great. Okay, this would be great. I love the concept of this. Like, there's an old abandoned tower that's, like, sealed off that a town is just built around. And, like, the players come here and they find out this thing's inside.
Yep.
That sounds like a great story arc.
But the thing is, it's, like, even more ridiculous, because it's Thievery DC 51 Legendary to imbue Thieves tools with aspects representing Asmodeus or Sarenrae to use them to drain away the orb's power over 10 minutes.
Taking 5 damage around until the time.
That is how... Oh my god. That is... Let's see here. 5 damage per round. 10 rounds in a minute. So 50... So you have to take 500 damage.
Just you've got your rogue disabling it, and their cleric with their hand on their shoulder.
It's like, keep going, dude! You're like, I'm burning alive, man! No, it's okay!
It's called, that's what a high-level cleric is for. Just, okay, wait, we're doing this? Let's all sit down. Let's take a long rest. Let's get... I'm preparing only healing spells. Let's do this.
It's gonna just be like... don't worry, when you get low, I'm just gonna cast heal on you a bunch of times. It's what I got for all my high levels, high-level things.
Never mind. And it basically looks like the end of that, like, what was the Wolverine movie with, like, Phoenix at the... whatever, where it's like he's like having pieces of himself like blasted off. He's just like moving forward. That's what I'd picture.
Oh man, no, I love this. This is like it's so ridiculous, but it's like, I think that's one of the things that I feel is still even lacking in Pathfinder to a degree, is that high level ridiculous. Because normally when they're doing this like stuff at the top level, it's just like, here's a aspect of a deity you can fight, or here's like a divine monstrosity you can fight, which are cool, but this is like, this has like story to it.
Yeah. Well, it can easily have story to it. It's funny enough, this thing itself does not actually have any story to it. But just looking at it, you can and I love that. You could just so easily adapt a story around this one magical item.
I also just thought of a really cruel combination with Bloodthirsty Urge Trap and Spinning Blade Pillar. You put the Bloodthirsty Urge Haunt in the middle of 4 Spinning Blade Pillar traps and have the tile right up before the Bloodthirsty Urge Trap goes off. Trigger for the Spinning Blade Pillars.
Man, see, it's little things like that. Well, then you're just like figuring out multiple. It's like multiple creatures of different CRs added together, or to get a overall trap. But
yeah, I'll be honest. I really need to step up my trap game. That's where I tend to. I've noticed that my traps are subpar. Honestly.
Mine have always been pretty bad, and that's why I use them very sparingly. Like,
I think it's funny in your game right now, Matt.
Yeah.
That we're searching for traps everywhere, and we really
haven't
found many.
There are not very many traps.
It's just
it's like
trap.
I know you guys are horrifically paranoid of traps, and like, I'm sorry, very few are going to come up when they do their raids.
Well, there was only one really so far.
Yeah.
And that was, and I didn't check to see if there's anything going on with it. I kind of just went, whoosh.
Yeah, the hard thing about traps though is they really take you time. They really take the GM a lot of thought to build, because you have to really analyze your players' capabilities. I mean, like when it came down to it, my Kobold dungeon was my attempt at making a trap-based thing, and you guys kind of subverted like the traps fairly easily. I felt like it's like, oh look, there's scratch marks on the ground. We noticed that. Oh, that blah blah blah. Oh, well, let's just climb up over here. Oh, they're doing this. Well, let's just go over here. You know.
Yeah.
My favorite story about one comes from something that you were in, Matt, with the shock lizards and throwing a character down the hole.
Oh, no. Well, no. Those are that's technically combining two of them. The shock lizards was, I made a room filled back in 3.0 D&D because shock lizards didn't have a cap. They added a cap in 3.5 because they're like, that's dumb. But before that, there was no cap. But then they went in the room and it triggered like, I think it was like 100 D6 or something electric damage, and the one character was immune to it, and the other person was disabled, and they made the joke that they kept triggering the trap, which kept burning that person into dust. The one that wasn't immune.
Yes.
Yep. And there was the hallway of traps, which they kept throwing like the one PC who's everybody's bitch down the hall on a rope, and then dragging him through them and then healing him. Because they were horrible. They were horrible. That team of players they weren't like Munchkins or anything. They were just abysmally no morals and like the most horrible people.
I feel like I'm going to be getting some of that in my Cruise of Strahd game.
Yeah. Just like...
Not really... quite horrible people so much as just like degaff. Just like... look, what? Human shield? Who cares?
Let me put it this way. In the storyline, 2 of the characters got married. And then the guy basically decided that he needed something to like trigger something, and he needed to shove something in there. So he took his wedding ring and shoved it in there, and like pounded it in there. Of course, then he had to like spend like 2 hours reforging it because she got really pouty and was like angry at him. But you know, it's just like he's just like, "It's a solvent, my wedding ring." Anyway, so yeah, Pathfinder 2.0. I like where they're going with it. I feel like they're taking the right lessons from 5th edition while still trying to keep to the spirit of Pathfinder. And I think that's a good direction because 5th edition did a lot of great ideas. Just like the original Pathfinder was based on 3.5, you know, picking up the D&D influence and running with it, great idea.
Yeah. Like, I just think that, oh gosh, I was going to say something and I completely blanked. When it comes down to it, I kind of just hope that they take a little bit more from spellcasting for 5e. Basically how you just prepare things and you can cast whatever you want from those prepared lists. And multi-level casting. Those two things, if they take those from 5e, I will be happy. Because those are my least favorite things about Pathfinder, is just spell slots. And how rigid they are.
Yeah. That's why I always preferred, like, your known-based characters, because then you unlock a lot of that.
Exactly. Like, I mean, there's kind of this point where you have to have a really patient and understanding party to, like, play a wizard in Pathfinder, where it's just like, I prepare my spells, okay, we have to stop, analyze what we're going into, let me take a day to prepare, I'll figure out my spells, and then we can go in. It's like, that's what you almost need to do. And if you don't, it's, you know, if you have those party members who just go like, nope, I'm a fighter, let's just rush in. It's like, well, let me prepare mage armor, magic missile, and, you know, featherfall, and let's go. Okay, that's about it. Not much I can do.
Yeah, so.
Which made, like, any utility spell almost worthless, because, you know, anything that required a specific situation basically became a worthless spell, because you had no idea if you were going to run into that situation.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, very situational spells is a little harder.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, why don't we move on, though, because I do want to hit a couple more topics, hopefully, before we end for today. Let's talk about Shatter6. It's a role-playing game by Troll Devilish Games, who we've talked about a bunch of their stuff here and there. They did, like, Quill, the writing RPG. So it's an open role-playing system. It's free. The suggested price is $2, but it's free to anybody to use. Light mechanics, it's based on cooperative role-playing, and they're using, like, this rule of cool system. And that's actually a very interesting thing that they're putting out. Like, it's a free RPG system. I think that's the big thing about it, is that those are really cool to see, and supporting them is really great. It's not about keeping them the small details of combat. It's about the stories and having your players do awesome things, which is also really cool. And, you know, I guess this would be role-playing centric. So if your team is if you're playing with a bunch of people that like your rules, you like your hack and slashing, not for them. But if you're a role-playing centric group of people, you can try it out and check it out. So it's not like a class-based system, it's more of like a skill build your character-based system. And they have some things like a flexible combat that's being really cool first, and what they call the tag system. Which is like you tag skills and abilities and bonuses to kind of define your character. You know, so you could be like more charming, crafting, streetwise kind of person. You know, or like, you know, so you could be like a thief that specializes in like crafting thieves' tools and like maybe selling them or something. Something like interesting like that. So, a lot of the possibilities are kind of cool. I think this is a really interesting little system. I think Troll Devilish has done some interesting things, and they're very experimental, is one of those things about it. From all the different products that we've kind of seen them put out, I think that's the kind of common theme between them, is just experimenting with different things and seeing what works. And I'm kind of interested in this. It's like kind of like when we were talking about Quill as like the single player writing based RPG system, which is just kind of weird and unique. I feel like that's where Shatter6 kind of hits its ground, is that it's kind of a little unusual and unique. And I think the fact they put it out for free is really cool too. So it's like one of those, will that be great for them and putting it forward? I don't know.
Yeah, I think donation work can go really far if it's done well.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, or I say donation where that's like software, but because ultimately, they definitely should make it clear, like, a way to donate to them after the fact, because that's, I think, what a lot of people forget is, like, do you want to donate to us ahead of time? Well, I want to see how this works first, you know. It's like, well, then if you want to go back and support us, you know.
I don't know.
They probably have a way. I don't know. I haven't, obviously looked, but...
Well, I guess it's sort of like you could get it and then kind of go back into it and probably just be like, I'm going to pay you some money and get the book again, question mark?
I can, however, I can see why it's free, as there are only 5 pages.
It's minimalistic.
Yeah. So, like, to charge a lot for this would be, Yeah. No one would buy it. I wouldn't.
It's not a lot of pages. It's a minimalistic book. And I think it's just made to basically be a very open-ended system. Which, I mean, that's another thing. Minimalist, open-ended both have very hard walls to beat. And I think that's where playtesting this system and seeing for yourself if it hits the marks for you are one of those important things. Because you have to be able to build whatever your challenges your PCs are facing in the game. You have to have at least some kind of system for your combat, because it's going to come up and you want to at least have something that, yes, being really cool and awesome and doing like really neat stuff is great. You still have to have something there to back it up, and...
Yeah, it's a 2d6 system.
The 2d6 system's not bad either. No. So, I think it's a worthy material for people to check out, just because, in quotations, it's the right price, so you don't have to do a lot to check it out, and they are a company that's done some interesting things. So I definitely feel like this would be a cool thing to check out.
Yeah, no, I think this would be very fun to try in a one-shot at some point.
Yeah. Throwing something together and trying it out. So...
Just based on what it's, like, going for, it kind of almost makes me think of Fate.
Oh, did I have that one up? I got it.
Just kind of like a simple system that you can kind of really do anything with.
Yeah. Which is definitely a good thing to try out. Like, open systems.
Yep.
Anyway, I do want to hit a couple more topics, so it's like, as much as I would love to continue with this one, let's hit up some Space 1889, because they did something really interesting in this one that piqued my interest, I have to say. They made a book where, in a world where we're doing, like, Edison and the like...
Steampunk space travel.
Yeah, Thomas Edison invented space travel. You know what we haven't checked out? Earth. And that's what they're doing in this book. On the Trail of Gods. It's an adventure set on Earth. And I think that's one of the things that makes it not only stand out, but makes it me more interested in it. Not that I wasn't interested in, like, the planets and doing all those other adventures. And this is a system that's always been kind of, like, sounds really cool because of it. But, like, where they're, like, speculations on visitors from other worlds, because we've been talking about this, and you're on Earth, and you start in Glasgow, blah 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 blah, the place in Scotland, and you might even meet Nikola Tesla there. Ooh. And your people are kind of brought in to help protect things of this exhibition on this, like, possibly ancient aliens, because there are aliens, sort of, and they might have visited Earth when you've been visiting them or something in space, kind of thing.
And to see how this has changed Earth with going to space.
Yeah, and especially because it's looking at Victorian, like the Victorian age. This is really unusual. And space travel in Victorian age is just this weird combination, and we've seen it on the planets, which is cool, because that sort of shows, like, it's a lot of the exploration that happened with nations let's say 100 years to 200 years earlier, but now in space. So that's a different feeling, definitely, to it. Anyway, because there's been this, like, advances, not only even without the space travel. Just thinking of, like, if we had waited to the Victorian age to go to explore America and Africa and all those other places, and Europeans visiting them, who, you know, were the most advanced, in quotations, at the time, you know, and spreading themselves out. That's an interesting thing to kind of think about, that kind of version of it going into space. And I think that's one of the reasons that, yeah, Space 1889 really interests me. And this adventure definitely brings me in. You know, as something I'm like, this seems really cool. You know, you go to Egypt and Sudan, and you start in Scotland.
Oh. And it takes place in the year 1888.
Ooh. Bum, bum, bum.
I think that's supposed to be like a year before they actually start.
Well, no, the first journey to Mars was in 1870, it says the first sentence, yes.
Okay.
So this is like, 1889 is supposed to be like, I guess it's like a year before the core gameplay is, because it's supposed to be like, that's where everything's really well established, so there might be like a little bit, it's close to that year, but, you know, there's maybe still like some problems going on and stuff, and like, you know, certain things might not have occurred that would occur in space. We've already had their, you know, Edison and Armstrong have already traveled to Mars. I just like, you know, just saying like Thomas Edison traveled to Mars in 1870. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, on that note, though, I do want to bring up something that ties in with another thing, but I just want to make a mention of Space 1889, the Mars source book, is being kickstarted right now.
Okay, cool.
I just wanted to give a shout out to that. They have 30 days to go. The goal is the goal was 11,753. They've already made 15,337.
Of course they have. No, I like the Space 1889. I think is one of the systems I want to get the I think they have a name English. One of their starters. Do they have one for Space 1889? I think
so.
This is one of those ones I really would want to try, the starter, like because Modifius is pretty good on their let me check just here. Their free starters. They put out a whole bunch of them. Oh, the quick start, yeah. I really want to try the Kickstarter of this one, just because it's like, it seems like a really interesting system, and especially the setting. You know, that's one of those things, is like a great setting that's wide different than anything else really stands out. You know, in a world that there's a lot of generic, well, I wouldn't call them generic, but there's a lot of fantasy settings, and there's a lot of post-apocalyptic settings in RPGs. This is a nice something a little different, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't, since I do want to at least hit up one more topic, and this is a topic that, can I say it's near to my heart? Because it's not like a dear to my heart, it's near to my heart, and I'm passionate about it, and once again, we have to talk about it. Alright. So, the first thing is Munchkin introductory set. Okay. It's 2 players. It's meant to be 2 players. 160 cards. It's being sold for $30. 160 cards, $30 is right around the normal range of most core sets of Munchkin. So I'm not pounding it away at for that. Oh, that's the collectible card game introductory set they've put out. I'm sorry. That's why I was confused about this. Sorry, Steve Jackson Games. They put out an introductory set for the collectible card game. Now I'm thinking differently about it. I for a second there thought it was like an actual thing that was introductory, you know, for like the normal one. But it's the collectible card game, which I guess is a good thing, question mark? You know, it's like, I think the thing I have to say about this one, which is going to be an interesting thing to say about it, is they're treating this, because when I looked at it, I thought it was more like a normal Munchkin introductory. They're treating it more like that. I feel like that's a bad thing, because they're not treating it like what, like, say, like Magic would do for an introductory, which is they have their core set, and then they have special, like, introductory pack related to it.
Right.
That might be yet another bad problem of their CCG. I don't know. I don't know. Man. I wanted to more bust on Steve Jackson games and, like, talk a little bit about on a more... I will not bust on them. When I thought it was for normal Munchkin, which I missed the CCG because I'm apparently blind today. I can't spell blind today. It made me think, like, is this something necessary? It could be. Now, for it being part of the CCG, is it something that's probably necessary? Sure. My God, yes, with the way that the rules were. Unless they've fixed the rules a little bit from when we played. Yes. But... is this the right format for the product? I don't know. 160 cards for $30 is not a bad price for a bunch of CCG cards. You know, that I'm going to say is a little bit more in like a okay price range. You know, what do they give you? Might not be worth the right price range.
Let's see, 112 cards, 3 core set boosters, 1 Desolation of Blarg booster, 2 level counters, 2 runaway markers, 40 tokens, quick start guide, and 1 die.
Oh, so okay, I see. So
it's on their website.
Yeah. So packs are included in it. So it's number of cards and number of packs. Also. Yeah. Which there's a guarantee of 160 because the packs are going to have X amount, which will put up to that. I don't know about this. You know, again, it's like I feel like groups like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Do this kind of thing better, or even other CCGs, because they feel like more part of a set or something. You know? And this is like, we're doing our own thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing is you are getting everything to start the game.
Yeah. And maybe this is what they needed, which they should have had out, like, how many months
when it first came out?
Yeah. Maybe this is what they need a little bit for their game.
I think it's the best way for them to introduce it. Really, is here you get all the core base sets, some extra cards, and the counters and everything that you need as well.
Yeah. So this might be the right direction for the Munchkin CCG. Maybe not.
Yeah,
but
unless they've changed how the play is, I still wouldn't be interested.
No, we had our problems with their play. But this leads me to the other Steve Jackson thing I want to talk about: Munchkin Friends and Unicorns. Yup. So this is an interesting direction because from what we've seen Kickstarter-wise, they've always been kickstarting like their new core thing, like Shakespeare or Starfinder Munchkin, which are big core sets. It's a mini expansion. Are they just going to Kickstarter everything now?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they figure why not, because
free money.
They don't have to pay then to get everything published, and it makes people who are into Munchkin happy because they can get exclusives. And you know as well as I do, Munchkin exclusives can be powerful in the game because a lot of times it's like, oh, if you have this while playing, you get a boost of this.
Yeah, it's really just it's weird. I'm sorry, you know, like the theme of it is Unicorns and Friends, which is a mini expansion loaded with unicorns, cows, and undead.
Yes.
Why are unicorns, friends, cows, and undead? Like, shouldn't the unicorn's friends be like teddy bears or something? So they're like making fun of like My Little Pony and, you know, Care Bears or something at the same time. I would say that would be unicorns and friends then, and I would find that much more traditional Munchkin parody.
I don't know, but there is Frankenfurter's Monster, which is a Franken hot dog.
Yeah.
And apparently it's doing well because they're already at 41,000.
It's Munchkin, and as cynical as we can be, there are so many people that love it and so many people that love the exclusives, they're going to get it. You know...
I mean, oh my god, they're only 2 away from getting all their stretch goals.
Yeah, and who knows if they'll put out more then. And the stretch goals seem to be just like more cards, too.
Yeah, that's all it is it's more cards. Mm-hmm. The only ones they haven't done are new cow cards and 3 new undead cards. And then there's also social media goals, which they've unlocked 1 promo card by Katie Cook
on Facebook, but they haven't unlocked. They haven't unlocked the Twitter or other Facebook one yet.
Yeah, but which are 3 more cards.
Yeah. You know, I don't know.
Oh my god, but I mean, the backing stuff's not bad. Like the $60 one, you get Munchkin Unicorns and Friends, Munchkin Storage Boxes, Munchkin Spellbook, Moops Monster Mashup, Munchkin Oz, and a Unicorn Helmet promo for $60.
Yeah.
That's pretty dang good.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think that's one of those things about it that I think this is the saving grace about it that might be a core thing here. That 60, which they're already finished, they already have completely got with it. So you're already like, this is a Kickstarter, which you're gonna get. And so especially because of Steve Jackson Games too, you're not gonna expect anything badass. And you're getting probably like $75 worth of Munchkin products at least for $60.
And even the $10 first level, you get the Munchkin Unicorns and Friends mini expansion, the Unicorn Helmet promo, and all stretch goals. So even for $10, that's still a deal.
I think that's one of those things about they offered 500 of the $60 one, and I think the reason why they can do these here because they're expecting either A, maybe you already have them all, which is not worth it.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking the Unicorns and Friends, if it goes to shelf, I don't think it's going to be $10.
No, it's going to be at least 15.
No,
if not 20.
I think it's going to be less. It's a mini expansion. Their mini expansions aren't a lot. If they're spending $10 on it, there aren't that many cards. Like, if you look at how many cards they actually say they are before they're talking about the ones unlocked, it's not the same size as, let's say, like, when the original Munchkin's coming out, where they had Munchkin 2 or Munchkin 3. Those?
Oh, you're right. It says 9.
Uh-huh.
Oh, 9 unicorn ones, 3 undead themed treasure, 1
unicorn treasure,
9,
7 undead
10,
door, 8
13, 28, 30 cards.
When I'm pretty sure like Munchkin 2 mini expansions, like at least 45, maybe even up towards like 60. And that was a mini expansion.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're also getting that exclusive promo, which you know their promos are powerful. Especially if you're doing an event at a con and they're doing, you know, a giveaway, they normally you normally can use at least one promo thing, which can be
fun.
Really powerful if other people don't have promos.
And that's the thing is, but the thing is, this is an entirely side thing to it. The promo itself, all it would be, if you're thinking about it, is an extra card in your thing that might be a really great card when one of the players you're playing with gets it.
Yeah.
You know? So...
Yeah, honestly, that's what I was gonna like comment on. It's just like, I mean, if it's a really good card, it's like, okay, if it's so good, then
It's only, it's not. Oh, okay, I was thinking it was like something like the bookmark or something like that gives you a bonus in the game.
No.
Overall, no, it's just a +3 helmet.
Yeah.
It's not that amazing.
Yeah, but still, it's like, if there's a really good card, I would rather play without it, because it's basically like, well, whoever gets that card has a distinct advantage. You know, it seems kind of pointless to me to include it.
But the thing is, that's what especially doing like a Munchkin event is about, is being a Munchkin about it.
And I think that's another thing about this entire thing. If you look at like who's backing
it's not like you
what,
have your own deck or anything. It's not like a CCG.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. The top end pledges in here, where you're getting a lot of those extra things, I think
those are worth it.
But the point in time where it switches over is the $26 one, because then you're getting Spell School and the Unicorn one. I'm pretty sure those combined for $26 is a pretty good price.
Yeah, I would say that too. The 18, because okay, the deck boxes are nice to have, but it's not
necessary,
that important. So yeah, I'd say the 26, the 32, 36, and 60 are all worth what you're paying there. The only thing is they're already out of the 32.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about it, is because they have a limited number, they're pushing, people will get those, and people will still want to support it, and then you go to the $10, which you're probably not, well, again.
Wait, okay, they're all gone, but they must have changed this, because there's only 2 backers for the $32 one.
Yeah.
Oh, they got a new one. For the 32.
Oh, maybe they replaced it with the 36.
Well, there's a second 32 one there's 2 32 ones.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think they changed it.
They probably added another one, because the original 32 one was Unicorn Box Mishap and all the stretch goals. The new one is Unicorn.
Less.
It's slightly less. It doesn't have the box.
Yep, it doesn't have the box in it.
So
they sold 2 of them with the box, and they're like, we're changing it. We're not doing the box.
Yep.
Wait a second. Oh, wait. 32 and 26 are the same one. The new 32 is the exact same as the 26 one.
No, the 26 has Munchkin Spell School. The 32
it's got Moop's Mishaps.
Moop's Monster.
Okay, that's why I missed it. It's Moop's Monster Mishap, which I think is okay. They might charge a little bit more for that one, so that's why it's the 32 one then, or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
And the $30 one's for retailers.
Yeah. Munchkin, it's continuing its tradition of, I don't know. Again,
it's continuing its tradition of, let's get people to pay for our stuff for us, and then sell it for even more money.
Well, I mean, it's like what we were just talking about the CCG, where they put out a product like how many months in that they should have had out with the release. It's an introductory set.
That's something they should have led with.
They've already had an expansion before they had the introductory thing. Even Magic had starter boxes when the first unlimited sets came out. I remember I had some of those starter boxes. They had those right away because they're like, here you go, learn to play our game. I'm backing away before I get angry. It's just like, nope, I'm done. I'm done for now. Steve Jackson Games, I'm done for now. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, you know what? We're running a little late, and I kind of was like meh about the conspiracy theory, and I can put Capharnaum to next week maybe. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Just because it just came out, and all I wanted to do was you bring up conspiracy theory because it's a non-Munchkin product Steve Jackson Games come out with, and they're usually interesting and actually decent. So it probably is. Probably. Let's go to our normal segments.
It's really just the Munchkin team, I think. We talked about this earlier, how they probably have a team over it, and the Munchkin team is just doing this stuff, probably.
The Munchkin team's probably...
But they're turning out money, so Steve Jackson's letting them continue.
Yeah. They're going in crazy directions and still turning out money. I think that's probably why they turned to Kickstarter, is maybe dropping of, interest in Munchkin. Kickstarter's a way to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
They know that they have, they had 1,500 dudes or something, on hook, line, and sinker there to earn them a big chunk of cash.
Well, probably what it is okay, maybe sales went down a little, so the way we can keep making that same money is now we kickstart the stuff, we give them a little extra, and they pay for the production of it now.
Yeah.
So we're doing is we're not paying for the production of it, and everything's pure profit.
Yep. All right. Let's though move on to our regular segments. It's our Kickstarter Korner, which we normally have, where we talk about Kickstarters of the week that we think are interesting, that we feel that you guys should check out and see for yourself if you really want to see them and play them. So,
welcome, new citizen of the Empire.
Thanks, Blaze. Worm, why don't we start with you, since you've been off for a few weeks here?
Okay, so the one I was looking at is kind of interesting. It's already funded. I don't think there's really been much to well, anyway, here's a link. It's called it's like a ultimate board game backpack. It just looked very interesting to me because it's literally a backpack designed to carry a bunch of board games, and I'm like, that's actually a really neat idea. It's just the right size and shape for it to fit board games, and it's got a extendable section, and you can extra pockets and stuff for that are the right size for card-based games, and it's like I like the idea of it.
That's actually kind of really cool the way they did that there, because it's like they have it arranged that you're stacking things up in there. It's a different direction for a backpack, and it's deeper than your average backpack too.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, but I think it can extend or something, because the one in the top picture seems shorter than the one in a lower picture.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of that's also handy.
They show a picture with it really extended out.
New citizen of the Empire.
And so it's just kind of a neat I just this would be so I hate transporting board games. Oh my gosh, do I hate it. It's I just literally stack them all up in my car, probably in a couple loads at a time, and then I drive to my friend's house, and then I unpack them a couple loads at a time. And it's this would be so handy.
Yeah, you just have this and be able to kind of
and then you could just leave your stuff in there, so you can just pick it up and go next time.
And maybe if you feel like, oh, I don't want to play this game for a while now, I can pull it out, put something else in place of it, and I'll have that option then. It's if you guys let's say Red Dragon Inn, we play it for a whole bunch of times. We're we're not gonna play it for a while now. Joe, you can pull it out, put something else in its place. There you go. I mean, there's some really interesting. It's useful.
Yeah, just the downside right now is that because it's basically already funded, it's how much funded? It's where's the percentage?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's extremely. It's it doesn't. It's just something that I'm gonna look for this thing when it's actually out. But when it comes down to it, all of the lowest tiers, the couple lowest tiers that get you the backpack are all taken. It's this is not something you want to go fund right now, but it's something you should go look at and keep in touch with for when you can actually buy this.
They have a bare bones backpack one that still has some ones for 51 that still has some spaces though.
Yeah, but it's
so I mean if you could probably most of them are filled up. Yeah. So some of them, take a look if you're if one of them does hit your sweet spot for it, then I would say yes. But
yeah, so I think it's like what 1,400% funded,
something like that. Yeah. Man, that's good. Adjustable straps, sternum strap, moisture wick straps, moisture wick back paneling, rubber zippers, and a padded grab handle, so you can grab from the top too. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like it just seems like a very handy tool.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's totally something that I would look into once they like finally.
They have a laptop section in it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
this looks freaking awesome as heck, though. This would be great for cons too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's cool. All right, Joe, what do you have for us today?
Okay, so I found.
Oh, also, this is something that I'm glad they put thought into. It's carry-on compliant.
Nice.
You can take it up, take it as a carry-on in an airplane.
I found Killing Lee Garvin. Now, this is actually an interesting card game, but it's also to support a creator in the gaming community who's had a lot of health issues recently.
Okay.
So this is totally to fund his medical bills.
All right.
So I think that's kind of, I saw it and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool to bring up because of that. Apparently he's made such things as Build a Brawl, the Tales of the Floating Vanguard, Control, and Badass Zombie Killers.
Are you a badass zombie killer? Yeah.
But the card game is you're either trying to heal and help Lee Garvin survive or kill him.
I mean, that's kind of like the two directions you could go.
Yes, but you can choose which way you want to do it as a strategy, and you're playing against the game itself and the other players.
Okay, so kind of, I get that direction. You have to compete with other people, but you still have to worry about the game itself. Gotcha.
Yeah. They're at $4,557 out of a $15,000 goal, and they have 24 days still to go.
Okay, so a little bit of time.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of his work, if you know his work and you want to support him, this is definitely a way to do it and still get something that looks like a cute little game.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like a neat little one. All right, Sue, I was looking around and surprisingly, I didn't see as many under the normal places I look, because I guess like the one I saw that was kind of interesting is actually Expansion, but you can get the original game. So apparently there was a zombie doctor game that came out, and there's kind of interesting is they're doing a classic monster expansion. So, like, Invisible Man, Dracula, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I'm sorry, and the Mummy, things like that. So it's classic horror expansion. Ooh. Yeah, it adds the Invisible Man, Dracula, Mummy, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde. It's taking very good influence from the really classic movie versions of them, like the 1930s, 1940s, 1920s, that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool. The base game is a card game where you amputate, reattach, and swap limbs, and try to stay alive. Basically, you have a character that you're like moving things around, like body parts around. It's meant to be pretty quickly played. So it's like you're stranded in a hospital, the zombie apocalypse, and you're gonna basically cut about your colleagues in order to keep yourself alive. So it's about 24 days to go, about getting close to 50% funded, a little less than that, more like 40, maybe like 35-40% funded so far. They got a number of stretch goals. They were successfully funded before, and you can easily get the game as included in it, as you. So the thing is, you normally would play as the doctor as you sort of like move your body parts around, but now you could play as like one of the classic horror monsters and move body parts around, which sounds kind of odd, but.
You put your left foot here, you put your right foot there, you put your left foot here, and you shake it all about.
It seemed like a cute little thing, and I've seen it. We've seen a couple of games like this, so it seemed like kind of neat like that, like the card game where you're building a figure and doing stuff with them. I think it's an interesting new dynamic to card games, and this one seems to have a little bit of like. I like classic horror movies, so I kind of felt like I should support it and suggest it. So
got a link to it?
Yes. Give me a sec.
Oh, you know what this one kind of reminds me of? Bears vs. Babies?
Maybe?
Where you can build the bear, or...
No, that's a different one.
Oh, what the heck is the one I'm thinking of?
There's a couple of them that I know about that you might be thinking about.
Well, we played it.
Yeah, I think so, or something.
I swore it was...
Maybe it was Bears vs. Baby has that, too.
Yeah, I think it does. I actually have it in Tabletop Sim.
Anyway, so... Okay, why don't we move on, though, to our next thing, our week in Tabletop. Because we've had a lot of variety weeks, why don't we just keep it to... this week in Tabletop, because if we tell stories, they will be epic. Yep. Joe, why don't you start us off, though, since we did one.
Let's see. Last week we did the one magic game.
Yes.
Can't remember the name of it now.
Arena of the Planeswalkers, is it?
Yeah, Arena of the Planeswalkers.
We did it badly.
Yes. But it was an interesting game nonetheless.
Yes. It's hard to play and hard to master, and it's very weird.
Yes. There's a lot of intricate rules that aren't really well defined.
Nope. Yes, and Blaze won.
Yes.
But two of us left way before then, because effectively we died. One died, and I was dead also.
You were at, what, 1 hit point? You're just like, I'm running off the map. Bye.
And I'm like, I gotta go. I had to get up early the next day, so I'm like, nah, I'm done. I had to get up early on a Sunday. I'm like, nope, done. I'm dead. Like, someone could sneeze at me and I'm dead. I'm like, you guys are gonna beat me.
Yeah.
You don't mean to be here for this one.
Sure we do. We want to kill you.
Come on, epic comebacks, man.
The only way I was going to epically come back would be, like, if everyone else killed each other and I just snuck in and actually got one hit in after they weakened themselves enough. Because the fact is, I went to attack Blaze at one point in time, and I attacked him twice, and I had a lot of dice and spectacularly rolled terribly.
Yeah, and you also missed playing the one charge card.
I misplayed a bunch of cards. Because I was trying to figure out when you could use them.
Yes.
Anything else we talk about?
Other than that, I played another game of Vikings Gone Wild and eked out a victory on that with Fallen Angel.
Cool.
And, of course, we had your game session on Roll20, and we had some interesting party times.
Yeah, you may or may not have had an orgy. Or at least you might have gotten lucky. Or at least you got really, really drunk. You're not sure. None of you remember it.
Well, it was implicated that I did meet up with those nymphs again.
Maybe you did.
The tree kind of suggested that.
You at least met them at the party. Whether or not you did something at the party, we don't know. Mm-hmm.
I need to catch up on this.
I want my memory.
We all know that. We only know that Red woke up naked.
And also, From
what I understand, that wasn't the first time.
Probably
we're pretty
not.
sure Tim and the Goat Man did something.
No, the Goat Man was with Tim.
Yes, that's what I said. Tim and the Goat Man.
Yeah, Tim and the Goat Man probably had some
I thought you said him and the Goat Man.
No, Tim. Tim and the Goat Man probably did something.
Yep.
And we got to talk to a very ancient tree.
Yep.
Learn that we have safe haven here if need be, but we can't use this place to help our friends.
Nope.
So
Only you.
It's okay.
Meow, meow, meow. And Damien says she is happy about that. Ah. Meow, meow, meow. Worm, how about you?
Yeah, I guess I'll let you go into Bastion Frontier. So I'll go into, I ran Curse of Strahd on Sunday. That'll also be happening tomorrow. That's been fun. Well, was fun. It was the first game last time. And the party... It's an interesting party. We've got a preteen emo. We've got a kind of like adult like Drax. We've got like a 13, 14-year-old sheltered child who's also really dark and into death, but just doesn't understand why that's weird. And then we've got the kind of caring mother who's also a little bit dark. Mother figure who's also a little bit dark.
Wow.
Interesting party. Interesting party.
Sounds
Yep, they meandered through the woods for a while. Kind of ended up at a place, did some things. The place they were at got attacked, and that's basically where we left off, was right after the first little scuffle. But they can hear that there's more around, and so we'll get to that next time.
Ooh.
They still have no idea what's going on, no idea where they are, and basically no idea what to do. Although they do have a vendetta against a person who nearly ran them over with a cart.
Curse of Strahd, what fun.
Yep. Anything else during the week?
Besides Bastion Frontier, I don't think so.
Okay. So yeah, Bastion Frontier. Oh man, that was an interesting one too, where I added Bigfoot to your world.
Somehow.
They're technically swamp apes with really big feet.
When you said you added Bigfoot to his world, I was going to ask, was it me?
No. It's basically, my character repeatedly just tells ridiculous stories that are just like, that are like, oh yeah, it's tools. And so
but it's just like he told the story about a giant swamp ape, and I'm just like, well, you've officially added Bigfoot to my world. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Hey, look, I added swamp cows. The dangers and deaths. It's just like, I figure it's just like, I think of something strange and I just spout out whatever about that, and that's tools. It's like, start with a core of something and just wing whatever feels natural after that.
I feel like my next campaign is just gonna have to be in the swamp, just so I can include all of these weird things.
I keep writing stuff down about it, like the massive, ridiculous story of like what's gonna be happening here. By the end of our adventure, I'm gonna have developed an actual like culture in the swamp that'll have like ridiculous details about it.
I will take it, I guess. It'll save me some time to adapt something rather than to make it all up on my own.
Yeah. But no, I think we continued our quest to maybe release this horrible abomination that exists here or not. We haven't decided yet. But we only have 4 key pieces, so we're going to look for someone else.
I'm leaving it purposefully vague and keeping well guessing.
Yep.
Will you make the right decision in the end? Who knows?
Probably not. We're the boat associates. What else did I do? Yeah, we did the time stories on Sunday.
Oh, that's right. I gotta run though.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll catch up with you guys later.
Yep. See
Goodbye,
you,
everybody.
Yep. Probably see you tomorrow for a Sunday's Tabletop.
Yes. See you on the channel tomorrow. Oh, I want to talk to you about tonight after stream.
Okay. Just
Okay.
shoot me a text or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. I will switch to single person. Oh, let's switch some things around. Wait, and then I go like that, and no, that didn't work quite right.
Yeah, probably because Skype's still just trying to steal your camera.
Yeah, it's still trying to steal the camera, Skype. Well, whatever. Wait, nope, one worked.
There we go.
Not the right me worked, but... Well, I don't exist. Because Skype's still trying to steal my camera. Yep. Thanks, Skype. Oh, no, there I go. I got it to work. Woo! Quick transition. Only a couple minutes. Yeah, we did time stories where, confession... I haven't talked to everyone else necessarily about this, but I learned that we cannot finish the game as is. Great. Well, what had happened was we played through, and there was like 3 parts to this time story, and basically each part opens up that you can continue at that part. And we actually did really well of getting to part 3. So we were in the middle of part 3. We had our first failure, but we ran out of time. So we're like, we'll do it next time. You know, maybe we'll finish this up, you know, maybe next week or sometime soon, and then do like something else for the rest of the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to part 2 since we're already done that. I want to check out some of the places because we sped through part 2 and missed a whole bunch of places. I just wanted to see what was there. So I ran into this problem that there was supposed to be this location 8, and I couldn't find location 8. It didn't exist. So I'm like looking up online. I'm like, what is location 8? There's a location 18 over there. Is that supposed to be location 8? Because I don't see a location 18. I'm trying to, like, you know, Google this, and I find out there's another problem that people are complaining about. And I dive deep into this out of a curiosity. And it turns out there's a puzzle that we're going to face we can't solve. Because the puzzle, once you get into the depths of it, tells you, look in the box. And there's an insert hidden in the box. We don't have the insert. We don't have a box. We're on Tabletop Sim.
Why did the person not include that?
Because the insert, basically it's like a 3-part puzzle. Part 1 sends you to the insert, which tells you, go look up this item in the item thing and put it outside. Once you figure that out, it basically lets you go to a new location. You know? The final, like, the second to final location. But it also gives you these hints at solving a puzzle you need to get through that location. Because then I ended up watching part of some people playing this online, and it took them forever. Because also it took them forever to solve the puzzle, because the puzzle is kind of abysmal. The puzzle basically has you, in one area, get a set of numbers, and in the other area, you're supposed to use a poem on the first card, like the intro card to the area, with those numbers to figure out the code. And it really doesn't tell you you're supposed to do that. So, I might just have a skip through it to the end or something next time. When we face it, I'm not gonna give people the information. I know I'm gonna be nice about that. I'll basically take a step back myself, but I'll let them try to figure it out whether they want the hints and stuff. I'll be there to help instead of, like, lead the way.
Yeah.
But as soon as if they figure out the puzzle themselves, great. I'm gonna have to basically skip us to the final part at that point in time because we don't have the goddamn insert. And
to be fair, though, this isn't the first time we ran into a really dumb, not make sense puzzle. If you remember the Egypt one, where it's all like, we kind of just guessed and got it.
Yeah. Or like the Expedition Endurance, where they're like, there are 2 sections to this, but we're not marking them on the, like, easy play. So you don't know if you're going to... You're supposed to go to this, like, frozen one first and automatically fail, and then try it again in when it, like, going back, like, a day or something till before it freezes. You don't know that. We went to the non-freezy one first. Because they don't tell you! I think that's the only problem with these, like, these ones here. They're cool, they're great, they help a lot, That's the problem. Anyway. I think that's it then. I think that's it for our Weeks of Tabletop. So it's Consult the Table, our last section, which we'll do very quickly, which is basically, hey, you guys, if you have any kind of questions to consult us here at the Tabletop, please ask them now in chat, or you can just basically send them to either mine or Worm's Discord, tweet any of us. You could leave it in the comments of this video when it goes up on my channel, or the comments of any Discussing Tabletop. You can basically just, any way that we have to contact us. Oh, and discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. If you have a question related to tabletop, nerdy stuff, anything in general that you think we could help you with answering, hey, we're glad to answer it. Send us the question. Anyway, so thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Joe, who has had to run off. Thank you, Worm. Worm, where can people find you, etc., etc.?
So you can find me on twitch.tv/diamondworm or @diamondworm on Twitter. You can join my Discord. There's a link on my channel.
Yes.
But
I have your Twitch link at least.
Yeah, I know. I just know that I don't expect you to have that link. But the Discord's fun. It's actually it's pretty hopping a lot of the time.
The thing is, I would like my Discord to be more hopping.
You have to use it because that's why mine's hopping.
I keep saying stuff and things, and
you say stuff once a week, maybe.
I guess I have to talk in general chat more and just try to get conversations started a lot more.
Yeah,
I've been trying a little bit more this week. Again, it's just me on social media. I tend to be terrible, and I'm trying my best to be a little better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to be better on Twitter because I just don't like Twitter's interface very much, and it's kind of just kind of just the way they handle things. But but Discord I love interacting on Discord.
Twitter's this weird point for me because I don't want to be rude and unfollow certain people I've had conversations with in the past, but it's sometimes
you can block their conversations, you can block their retweets, you can stop it from appearing in your timelines. You have to go to their page, click on the little 3 dots on the side, and then there are a couple options there.
Yeah. So it's unless you're directing me directly, you're probably not going to say something I care about. Let's move on.
Yep, I figured that out this last week because I followed someone who basically retweeted probably about once every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm I don't want this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll have to manually play around with a bunch of people and figure some stuff out with that. Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they have the options. They're just not very obvious. But yeah, no. You can follow me. Follow me on my Twitch. I have Amber City, an RPG this afternoon. D&D Curse of Strahd tomorrow afternoon. I'll be here with Tantus on Monday for some Stellaris, hopefully, assuming I don't die for some reason. And then we've got Bastion Frontier on Wednesdays and Arc on Fridays. I will stream things at other periods of time, but those are the set ones. Oh, actually, I'm also doing something with Grandpa. Yeah, Def Tech. Yeah, he's Def Tech on Twitch. Grandpa is his. He's Grandpa Def Tech in other places. He has a lot of. He has it's basically Grandpa or Def Tech 99. Mm-hmm. But I'll be probably doing some Stellaris with him on Thursday. I think we have agreed. He streams when he's free, so it's kind of hard to schedule.
Yeah.
Because he works 2 jobs, so it's
Cool.
He's hoping that he just got affiliate, and he's hoping that he can start making some money so that way he can quit his night job so he can be more free to stream.
That is not easy because I just qualified for my first payout from Twitch.
I know.
So.
Yep. No, yeah. It's I know. Mm-hmm. I have yet to get my first payout from Twitch, so
it takes a long time, and then there are 45 days before they pay you, which was a kind of interesting thing, but it's not bad. I feel they're still better than YouTube as it is right now because I can go into a long tirade about how I'm unhappy with YouTube because they claim it's going to take a week to get monetization. It's already been over a month. And apparently that's not the worst for some people. that how bad they are about regaining this crap. It was easy to get in the first place, but now that they changed the rules, it's really difficult.
I heard, like, I understand why they changed the rules, because it's actually so the people who qualify actually can get more money, because the way...
No, that's what they say. Like, I heard a lot of people talking about it, and it's...
The issue isn't... Well, see, here's the issue, though. They also started implementing their automatic demonetization stuff, which has killed a lot of that. So it's like, they're really skimming things right now, and it is not making people happy.
No.
YouTube is... there's a reason I think I said something at some point with, like, Google and YouTube, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is before the stream, where I'm like, yeah, like, Google, I love Google, but they need to fix Chrome, because they just leave it a couple things broken that just annoy me, and then they need to just get new people on YouTube, like, just completely redo the whole staff.
They just need someone that will actually, like, be there. They automate the thing. There's a level of automation that's fine. They automate way too much. Like, I was seeing someone, like, that I was reading about something that, like, some, like, channel that should have gotten monetization never got it, and they can't reach anyone because they're all way too automated.
Yes, that's one of the issues. Is like it takes way too long to reach people on YouTube, to get problems. It's almost like you have to, it's kind of sad too, because basically, like, I've heard that larger YouTubers, like people with like millions of subscribers, actually will have personal, like, assistants they can talk to, like people almost assigned to, like, them and only a couple other people. And it's like, well, you have people for that. Why don't you have people to just help with general things?
Anyway, all right.
Yeah, anyway.
Again, I don't want to go on too much of a tirade because I have my complaints about it. And that's one of the reasons I decided not to have my big 1,000 subscriber celebration, because there is no reason to celebrate yet.
Yep. Yeah, but that's my big thing is, like,
I'm bad.
I can understand
myself up for it, but
for as much as it hurt people, I understand why they did the original thing, where, like, they made it harder to get, because
the
there were a lot of
problems were occurring before then.
Yes, but part of the thing is there were a lot of people who were able to take advantage of the system. If you've ever heard of, there are these, like, basically they're channels devoted to clickbait for babies. Yeah. Like, they literally, like, it's literally like a parent will put on a show and take advantage of Google's autoplay for keyword results to get their videos up next, and then they're like a single video that's like 10 minutes long with like 15 advertised marks to, like, get advertising in, like, so many places. And it's like, it's people who took advantage of that system. That's why they did the original thing. Now, the demonetization based off of, like, keywords in their Google auto translate or auto caption system is garbage. It has hurt so many people, and it is so broken, and it doesn't work. Anyway.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of complaints about the way they're doing things, and so hopefully they'll fix it. Hey,
no, they won't.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we should get going.
That's why I've barely touched on YouTube. I need to start doing it just to get people from YouTube to my Twitch, but Twitch is where I'm focusing.
I would like that's one of the reasons that I haven't, like, thrown myself back in as much on my scripted stuff, because, I mean, like...
There's no point.
I'd still do it, but it dropped in priority.
Yeah.
It dropped in priority. When monetization comes back on YouTube, it will probably raise in priority again. But...
Yeah. I'm hoping, actually, that Twitch starts to... Because Twitch has this, if you've noticed. They have a place for you to upload scripted content. But it's just not, like, heavily implemented. They don't have good search options for it. They don't promote it. If Twitch starts to do stuff with that, they can probably overtake YouTube in a matter of a year.
Yeah. Anyway, we're driving into, we're trying to say goodbye, and we're trying to dive into, like,
right. Yeah, sorry. I was just saying, I was streaming with DefTech. That's about it for me.
Cool.
Check out my Twitch.
Yep.
Follow me on Twitter.
Yep.
Check out my Discord.
Yep. My links are in the description below. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, please do, just because it probably helps. I don't know anymore.
I also have a YouTube with, like, 5 videos on it. Which...
Yep. subscribe to our YouTubes. Mine might help me. I'm like 1,100 now subscribers. I would like to. Hey, if maybe if I somehow get to 5,000, they'll finally give it to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, yep, and that's a lot of scripted stuff on role-playing stuff. So if you want to learn about these role-playing games we talk about, I talk about a whole lot of them and some other CGs and stuff like that. All my links in the description below. I'll be back tomorrow morning, probably. I should be back tomorrow morning. I might do the forest, but I was trying to make a network of zip lines across the island, and I need to farm rope, which is dumb, but I need to. So I have to do that sometime off camera. I just haven't had a chance to. So I might do something else in its place and just wait to do the forest until I can actually do that stupid farming. I knew I had to, but I want my zipline network so I can zoom around the island stupidly. Take that, cannibals. But anyway, yeah, and I'll be back tomorrow evening for Sundays at the Tabletop. So, thank you for joining, and I hope to see you here. We all hope to see you next time, including Joe, who's just here all the time, next week. Bye!
Bye!